back to our afternoon session of interviewing. In the morning we kind of talked about competency-based interviews and how you would conduct a competency-based interview and really how you prep somebody for a competency-based interview. In this afternoon section I want to focus on a number of areas, and one of the key areas I'm going to talk to you about now for a couple of minutes are legal considerations when you're interviewing. Now I've collected up your sheets here. I know you've answered questions in relation to the types of questions you can and can't ask in an interview, so we can go through those later on towards the end of the course. But I just want to talk to you about the piece of relevant legislation at the moment. So I suppose the relevant piece of legislation is the Employment Equality Act, and it prohibits discrimination on 9 grounds, and I've listed them there for you. So gender, marital status, family status, sexual orientation, religious belief, age, disability, race, or membership of the travelling community. Would anyone like to take a shot as to which of those grounds would be the most popular grounds that third party cases are taken under? What would you think, John?
Gender.
Gender. It's actually age, now closely followed by race, but age is probably the most the most popular one that people take cases under. So I suppose in terms of legal considerations, it's actual behaviour and not intent that requires the presence of discrimination. When you're interviewing somebody, you should only ask questions that relate to the position that the person is applying for. Make sure that you're asking the same question of every candidate that applies. So, for example, if Kirby's coming to me for a financial controller position and I ask her if she's ever been found guilty of fraud, then I'm sure that if I'm interviewing John for the same position, I'd ask him the same question as well in terms of fraud. So you're not discriminating on somebody based on their appearance or whatever, and you're being fair across the board in terms of your questions. Don't acknowledge or take note, which could be considered to be discriminatory. Here's a couple of examples then in terms of recent cases. So Dr. Noreen Gleeson won her case in the Labour Court against the Rotunda and Mater hospitals, where remarks were made to her by an interview panel which was consisted of 8 men and 1 woman. She had been asked by a member of the interview board about the time that she had had her babies, and the job for which she was interviewed went to another candidate that she viewed as being less qualified. So she successfully took a case against them. Another candidate then was asked to fill out his date of birth on an application form through a recruitment agency, and he refused to do so, and they wouldn't allow him to register with them, and he successfully brought a case against them and won €5,000. In terms of, I suppose, another case then that we could look at was a candidate who was asked questions about the ages of her children and how long it would take her to drop them off at school, was awarded €1,000 by a company as well, because those questions weren't asked of a male candidate. So any questions on that for Kirby?
In terms of age, sometimes I've seen job specs that would say, oh, looking for mature adult, middle-aged, so that wouldn't be
no, you rarely see that. You wouldn't really see that on job specs now anymore. Young, enthusiastic, or mature, middle-aged person required. So you wouldn't really see that in job specs anymore because it would be found to be discriminatory.
And if you found that a process wasn't equal, or they were breaking some legal grounds, how would you bring that further then?
I suppose it depends on how serious it is, but the first thing you could probably do is bring it to the EAT and ask them to consider it, and then it can go further up into the Labour Court.
Okay.
So, okay, we're going to wrap it up, and what we'll do now for a few minutes is we'll go through the questions that you answered, and we'll see how you get on with those 20 questions. Alright?
Okay.
Thanks.